and we had way too much traffic hit the site on day one and crashed the site. So many people driving so much traffic to this website, and the website's down. It was just such a disaster. My client was furious.
Yeah. All right, here we are. It's James, Noah, Twin Creek Media. We're talking about something pretty personal today. It's about our greatest losses and wins. We're going to do an episode on that too in our career so far. So, the last 15, 20 years, we've been in marketing and advertising world, and we've made a whole pile of mistakes. So this is our chance to laugh at each other as well, because we haven't told each other what we're going to be talking about exactly. So this is kind of like unscripted. Mm-hmm. So I did write some points down. Noah has some stuff, but we don't know each other's big moments. So here we go.
Cool. The biggest mistake I made was when I launched a website for, are we naming clients?
No.
All right, let's not name the client, but they were a large sporting team, and they were a brand new team in Ontario. And the announcement was huge. So we had a big press release. We had awesome PR partners. They got us so much media and so much attention that we crashed the website. And so the website was great, but it's just the fact that we hosted it on a cheap server. This was many years ago. It was an Amazon server. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
it doesn't matter.
It was a server that was a lot cheaper. And we had way too much traffic hit the site on day one and crashed the site. So many people driving so much traffic to this website, and the website's down. It was just such a disaster. My client was furious, rightly so.
Yeah.
And don't always plan for more traffic than you think you will.
Yeah, I mean that's being a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
Right. But. So you expected, everything's fine. But some process broke down. So a couple of follow-up questions to that. So did you lose the client?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there any financial repercussions out of that situation?
No. I mean, for them, in theory, they weren't selling yet, but they were trying to register people to sign up for...
Gotcha. So they lost thousands of registrations or something. Did they didn't pin anything on you responsibility-wise?
Well, they did, but they didn't...
penalize you financially. Okay. So, okay.
There's no liability there.
Yeah. All right. That's a pretty good one to open up with. This one actually doesn't sound as bad because you started with a pretty good one. But starting in business, I worked from home for a couple of years, and we're like, hey, we got some clients and got some business. And my buddy, I hired him, and then we hired our first employee, and we got our first office. And wow, did we ever feel official? We had a crazy, crazy busy year. We made in 2008 $207,000 of revenue. Now that's meaningless unless you know what our expenses were.
Right.
Do you know what our expenses were? Any idea? Our expenses were $248,000.
Yikes.
So, it was kind of a wild year, very successful until I realized that we're spending more than we're making. So, and I didn't realize at like the end of the year because it was actually a terrible time. So I was told when you start a business, you have to pay yourself. Do not work for free, right? But I just kind of did it technically, even though I was working for free. So I wrote a paycheck for employee 1 and employee 2, and I was employee 3 because you have to pay yourself, right, Noah? Mm-hmm. So I did. And then the company's bank account was maxed out. So I just took my personal paycheck and put it in the company bank account instead of depositing it in our bank account, which we needed because we had a mortgage and a young family. Just like I had kind of not enough experience running a business, starting a business, and made very many mistakes during that time.
Yeah.
It's like, but I felt like, I'm writing myself a check, so I'm paying myself. No, I'm not. I'm putting it in the company's bank account. We lost money, and I was personally covering the loss of the company. So I was working for free entirely, That's what it boiled down to at the end of the year.
And
I was
probably
working
paying too much
so
taxes.
well. I wasn't.
Because you would have paid taxes on your income.
I was actually
Income
paying taxes
yeah.
and deductions, CPP and EI. Yeah, I mean, so many silly mistakes starting a company.
Totally. I think the next one I would say is starting a little side hustle for a little accessories company.
Yep.
Huge mistake there was that I didn't do a ton of market research. I just thought it would be cool, and it was in a territory I was familiar with. So it was cannabis accessories, and so I work with a fair amount of cannabis clients. Mm-hmm. And I knew I didn't want to start my own cannabis brand because that's the licensing and just the regulations there are so challenging and stringent. And, I just wanted to do something cool that was a fun branding project and could get me my first Shopify project. And so we built a Shopify store for our cannabis accessories. And the biggest mistake there was that we didn't read in detail the terms of Shopify stores. And so Shopify store got shut down after it launched. First day of sales, $2,500 in sales, day one. Loved it. Amazing. Day two, zero. Wait, what happened?
What happened? Yeah.
Okay, so we go into Shopify.
You went against the rules, right?
Yeah, we went against the rules.
Clearly states probably no tobacco, no cannabis, no liquor.
And, cannabis is legal in Canada.
Yeah.
Shopify is a Canadian company.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed, and this is a problem that I continually have, is that I make assumptions.
Yeah.
I assumed we would be fine. Anyway, we sorted that out by getting
you know what assume stands for?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Making an ass of you and me. But my dad taught me that one.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was we found a new payment processor. So they're fine for you to do your website. You just can't, they just won't process payments. So we found a new payment processor. It took us like 2 or 3 weeks. We lost some momentum. Get the site back up and running. We're now able to take payments. We start advertising a little bit more. And then Facebook shuts us down on our advertising because, again, cannabis accessories.
Against the rules, yeah.
Against the rules. So that pretty much ended up being a wash. I didn't make any of our money back and had a fair amount of inventory that we had to clear. It was about $25,000 worth of inventory.
Yep.
So that was an expensive and stupid mistake because I did not pay attention to the little details and regulations.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You have to work with somebody that is actually really good at the details and the process of following the rules and regulations. So, because that's not your strength, it should be someone else's strength on your team. So when you're working by yourself, you just kind of have to be everything, which is impossible.
Yeah.
Anyway, hence all of our mistakes. So my second mistake is very similar to that because it's attention to detail based, and it's with Facebook advertising as well. So when you set up a Facebook ad or you're going to sponsor a post and get it seen by more people, you put some money behind it. Mm-hmm. So there's all sorts of fill in the blank boxes. You go into the back end and you set up your ad and your graphic and your headline, and then you come to the budget and you punch in your number. So over the years, Facebook has changed the way this looks, and this has trapped me twice. So one of them was, actually the first time it was just simply me being in a rush, So you get in there and you're just like, what's your budget? And it's $50, So it's like 50. But at the time I was used to doing 50 decimal, 00, which I didn't hit. So I just went 500 and then didn't notice there was an extra zero on there that wasn't in the decimal place. It was actually, instead of $50, it was $500. When you're a small company, every mistake you pay for out of your own wallet, right? Mm-hmm. Like especially when you're the owner of the business, you're a one-man band or one-woman band. So it was just terrible. So just when you can't afford a $500 mistake cash, you just make it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's instant, it's over. So the moment you hit go and the campaign launches, like the next day, this is a follow-up mistake, was Facebook changed their lifetime campaign budget box, and they changed the wording to daily budget. So you put $500 in there, and then you set a October 1st, October 15th, so it runs for 2 weeks. Bam, you're perfect, right? So, well, Google worked on a daily budget basis. So at some point, Facebook had changed it from a lifetime campaign budget to a daily budget, so it would be more familiar to people running Google search ads. Well, it just tricked everybody because they weren't used to it.
Yeah.
So now instead of the lifetime budget of $500, you put your daily budget in there at $500. You put October 1st to 15th. It is spending $500 a day for 14 days.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there was several times where I just lost buckets of money because went too fast, didn't check the details. So yeah, just big mistakes, big losses. Looking back, they just teach you every time you screw something up like that, you just gotta change the process. So you force yourself to go through the steps, or you change your system entirely and have someone else who's better than you at something, like check that thing for you. Because you gotta pair yourself with people that are better than you at something. That actually goes to one of my wins in a future podcast.
I like that.
Yeah, so we have, I'm sure, quite a few more losses, and we'll put those in another podcast.
Yeah, totally.
Because we can just rattle on for hours.
Yeah.
Especially Noah, he makes so many mistakes.
I'm mistake prone. Let me tell you about the time I put the...
No, wait, we're going to save it for next time.